Back here, first things first, we are going viral, gentlemen. Check out this video that Dez Bryant posted a few days ago. Looking pretty good for a 31-year-old. Brian, that's the same age you were when you played for the 49ers.
Oh, man.
Although, I feel like we saw video just like this last year of him trying to get back in the league, and he did for a little while, and then he got hurt. Do we think he's coming back?
I think there are a lot of teams that can use a possession receiver, a guy that can get open, that has done it in the league for a long time. I think there are some teams that can certainly use Dez Bryant.
Well, we know the Saints tried to give him a try, not this past season, but the season before, and he popped his Achilles. This year it seemed like he was rehabbing from it all year long. I bet he gets a tryout or he gets invited to a training camp with a team. Will he end up on a roster? I would say at this point he's an underdog to end up on a roster.
The Eagles last year, at the end of the season, they were playing with practice squad players. I have to believe that Dez, at some point, probably is a little bit better than those guys.
Okay. All right, time for stories to start your morning. After a very public courting, turns out Darren Collison will not be joining the Lakers and has decided to remain retired. Now, the Lakers, who did stay put at the trade deadline, reportedly turned their attention to recently waived Dion Waiters. Nick, are the Lakers in trouble after missing out on Collison?
I think in trouble is far too strong, but they needed him far more than they needed Marcus Morris at the trade deadline. He fills the exact void that they have, which is additional shooting is nice, but a ball handler when LeBron is off the court, which they've been searching for all year, and he would have taken Rondo's minutes, which would have been an extraordinary development for them. I don't begrudge Darren at all. He's very committed to his work with Jehovah's Witness, and he wants to continue doing that. But for the Lakers, if you're now fishing in the Dion Waiters waters, it means you know you have a need, not necessarily someone available for you to fill it.
Credit to Darren Collison for saying, listen, this is my belief, this is my faith, and I'm going to stick with it no matter who's offering, because the Lakers certainly have just as good a chance as anyone to compete for the NBA championship no matter what. But I think you're right. When you're talking about Dion Waiters being the guy that's going to move the needle for your team, that just can't be true. And I don't think he's the case for the Lakers. But he is a guy that can shoot the three pretty consistently, 35, 36% from that range, and be a playmaker when LeBron is off the floor. He can add that. If he can do that consistently, then I think he helps that basketball team.
All right, moving on to the Dallas Cowboys now. Stephen Jones refuted rumors that Dallas is interested in Tom Brady, saying Dak Prescott is, quote, the guy that can help us win championships. Nick, what should the Cowboys do with Prescott?
If he's insistent on having top 5, top 3, top 1 quarterback money, then they have no choice but to franchise tag him, to my eye, Brian. And if I franchise tag him, I am at least listening quietly to what teams would want to trade for him. If Frank Clark can get a 1 and a 2, what can Dak Prescott get on the open market, or on the trade market? And it might be a situation where Dallas doesn't think they have to, but they end up moving on from Dak if the right trade's out there.
Well, it's simple. If Stephen Jones is saying he's a guy that can help us win a championship, then pay the man. And I understand it's going to come down to some details and guaranteed money and length of term. I understand all that. Then stop putting your team in a position where they're wondering about what's the face of the franchise going to be. Is it going to be Dak? Could it be Tom Brady? Don't put your team in that situation. The outside noise has been a problem for the Cowboys for a long time. Allow your team to be settled, have a face of the franchise, pay the man. He deserves it. Coming off the best season of his career, why wouldn't you pay him?
All right, moving on to the Patriots now. A report from Tom Curran's column on NBCSports.com says that Tom Brady feels like he's been seen as a stopgap for the Patriots, just a short-term solution until they find something better at the quarterback position. So, Nick, I guess you have to ask, have the Patriots disrespected Tom Brady?
Well, this is the corner I've been on for quite some time, and this is why I think Brady is earnestly and honestly weighing his options, is because Tom Curran wrote there that since 2017, he has been asking them for a contract extension. And every year they will rework it. They will either give him a raise, or if you remember a couple years ago, they wouldn't even give him a raise. They just gave him incentives, none of which he happened to actually reach that year, so he didn't get it. Last year he wanted an extension. Tom Curran says he would have taken the Drew Brees extension. 2 years, $50 million. $25 million a year, which is an absolute, puts you outside of the top 12 as far as highest paid quarterbacks.
Bargain.
Absolute bargain. He was coming off his 6th Super Bowl, by the way. He's 1 year removed from a league MVP. And the Patriots said, nah, we're good. He's the most accomplished football player ever. Some would argue the greatest football player ever. No one would argue against that he's the greatest quarterback ever. And he has a goal. And the goal is to play till he's 45. And the goal is also to play his whole career for the Patriots. And they have not given him a contract that allows him to even get within spitting distance of the goal. So you define disrespect however you want. I do not think they have treated him the way you would expect most franchises to treat the greatest players in the history of their respective sports. I will say it's somewhat similar to how the Bulls at the end treated Michael Jordan. And Michael Jordan retired probably the second time earlier than he intended to. And we know that because he came back with the Washington Wizards. And I think a lot of people thought the Bulls didn't pay Michael Jordan the due respect he deserves. I wonder if we're looking at a similar end for Tom Brady, where he has to finish his career with a different team because his current team doesn't want to commit to him and the pieces around him long term.
The question for Tom Brady and the Patriots is, can he carry the football team anymore? Can you exist and win football games without a lot of pieces around you? And I think we found out this year that it's going to be hard for them to compete at a high level without the pieces around him. And so is he a stopgap? Pretty much. I mean, they're trying to figure out who's going to be the next guy, and they've been trying to figure that out for a couple years, obviously after they got rid of Jimmy G. And so if I'm Tom Brady, I understand that. And towards the end of everyone's career, you just mentioned Michael Jordan, one of the greatest, if not the greatest player of all time. Tom Brady, certainly that in football. And he had to do something else. He had to go to the Washington Wizards because at some point, teams say, and Tom Brady should understand this more than anyone because they do this in New England all the time, but at some point you say, you know what, your worth here, as far as your value, which you bring on the floor or on the field, is not going to be equal to the amount that we're going to have to pay you to keep you here. And I think they're at the point right now that you're saying if $30 million isn't the number, if they're not even willing to give $25 million at that point, and Tom's not willing to accept that, then it's time for him to move on. If I'm Tom Brady, that's my two options: either stay and accept $25 million or move on. And if you don't want to accept $25 million, then now you have to go find a new place to do it, and that's hard to do when you're 43 years old.
Of course he's a stopgap, and no disrespect to Tom Brady. He's not the long-term solution. He may not even be a 2-year solution. He would be maybe 1 year to avoid all this mess, this like muddiness that we're sort of currently in right now, which all could have been avoided had the Patriots just
not treated him like a stopgap
and just extended him for 2 years or whatever and paid him next to nothing compared to what he deserved.
But so the issue is, and by the way, I do not think Brady brings the value on the field requisite to demand a $30 million salary. Not anymore. I think once upon a time, obviously, he brought the value requisite to demand a $50 million salary, and he played for discounts for a large portion of the last decade, but that was his choice. He didn't have to do that, and I think he expected them to make it right on the back end, and they are not doing that. But I do think there's an element of people assuming that, well, if the Patriots just equal whatever his best, financial offer from another team is, he'll stay there. But what if another team is willing to give him multiple years? What if the Patriots do come up to 25, 27, 28 million, whatever it is, but someone else is willing to give him 2 years? Maybe someone would even give him 3 with a partial guarantee in the final year. To me, that's going to be the compelling piece for Tom. And we have no evidence the Patriots will do that. They wouldn't give him the 2-year extension coming off the season before this one, when he was better and they won the Super Bowl. I cannot imagine they're going to give him a 2-year extension now when he's coming off his worst year.
You can imagine a team giving him 2 years and an option?
Well, I don't. When I say option, would be on the team side of things. But yes,
depend on the team. If you're the Chargers, maybe if you need a superstar.
If you need to sell tickets, if you don't have stability at the position, if you believe what a lot of people believe, not me, but that Brady was more a victim of his circumstances than a victim of his own poor play, absolutely, I could see it.
Tom Brady has been in New England for a long time. He understands the dynamic. He understands how they do business. It's weird to me that he's played for a discount his entire career, where he should have been the highest paid quarterback pretty much in his entire career. And now at 43, coming off one of the worst seasons that he's had, he now wants to get paid like one of the top-tier quarterbacks. That's just not how it works, not only in the NFL, but certainly not in New England.
But I think here's why. I think Brady took all these discounts over the last 8 years with the belief that we have an agreement here. No. I will do things to help the team. You will also put me in the best position to win, and you will respect what my ultimate goals are. And when this offseason he came to them, said, listen, according to Tom Curran, in 2017 I asked for an extension. You said, well, you got years left on your deal. In 2018 I asked for an extension. You said you got years left on your deal. Okay, well, now I don't. Now, I've got 1 year left on my deal. By the way, the same situation Big Ben found himself in, he got a contract extension. We talk all the time that quarterbacks don't go into their walk year. I'm Tom bleeping Brady. I just won my 6th Super Bowl, so obviously I'm going to get an extension. And when the team says no to that, it makes him reevaluate all of the whole history there. Have we been working together, or have you been taking advantage of me? And I feel if I were him, I'd feel taken advantage of. And I would feel, okay, you guys don't appreciate what I've given you because you guys won't pay it forward with the thing I want, which is a chance to play till I'm 45.
It's rare that the GOAT will ever feel this, but this is what NFL players, sports players has felt for a long time. This is a business, and we love you. We love what you're able to do for us, but unless you could bring us championships now, we can't pay you for past performance. That's what a lot of different players have felt for a long time.
Brian.
That's just the way that it is. That's how sports work. If you can't help us now and moving forward, we can't pay you for what you did 3-4 years ago.
Yeah, and I was keeping it real.
Yeah, I like that.
I know you do. Coming up, have the Clippers close the gap on the Lakers. I know, it makes them so happy when I keep things real.